All right, we are moving into week 11 in argumentation. Week 11, and I have so much to talk about with regards to causal reasoning. First and foremost, if I had to pick a favorite form of reasoning, causal reasoning is my absolute favorite. And I think it's because I grew up reading a lot of kind of detective stories and novels, and that's what causal reasoning feels like to me. It feels like detective work, like I am trying to figure out, okay, what caused this particular phenomenon to occur, or what are the kind of impacts of a particular choice or decision or behavior. I really find it fascinating. Studying causal reasoning is also the reason I get frustrated with language like you find in Taylor Swift's new song, right? So that Look What You Made Me Do. Language, you can see I'm like bristling. It's frustrating to me because I think a lot of times we offer excuses as individuals that are convenient for us, but don't necessarily tell the whole story. And I feel like that's what that song does. And one thing I keep going back to when I think about causal reasoning and false causes is I go back to my argumentation class at a community college, the one I took when I was a student. And so I took this class from Anna Martinez at Reedley College, and she was very punctual. She's like me, she was always early to class. And there was one day that she was late, and the whole class was waiting outside, and she showed up and she was in a rush. And she said, you know, as I was driving here, I got stuck behind a train, and my plan was to tell you that the train was the reason I was late. But really, honestly, we're studying causal reasoning, and that's a false cause. That's a cause that lets me off the hook. The real reason I'm late is I didn't leave early enough to allow myself enough time to deal with, like expected issues, things that could very easily happen, like a train. If you drive past train tracks, right, on the way to work or school, it is possible that you get stuck behind a train. And that really stuck with me because up until that point, I had used the most convenient cause to get myself out of situations. And now I'm trying to be better about that, taking responsibility for my choices and identifying which of my behaviors contribute to causes and not necessarily positive outcomes. So that was really eye-opening for me, and it was something that has stuck with me for almost 20 years now. All right, so that's my Taylor Swift connection. Number 2, oh, that's perfect because I'm going to talk about poop now. And you may be wondering what this is all about. So another thing that I thought that was fascinating is as I was reviewing the content for this module, and I always review content for new modules before I share it with you. I want to make sure it's fresh in my mind. My dog got sick, my puppy. She is 5 months old, and she had been sick a couple weeks ago. We got her better. She was fine for a week, and then all of a sudden she had we'll call it intestinal upset. Let's go with that. Liquid intestinal upset that did not come from her mouth. And what was fascinating was, we're studying causal reasoning, and the first thing my husband and I did was try and brainstorm possible causes. And we were trying to look for something unique that might have contributed to this. So what is this kind of outlier that might have contributed to it? We had a variety of different ideas. I gave her a little piece of sweet potato at dinner. It had a little char on it. It got a little burnt. Thought it might be that. I had switched a little squeezy paste that I put in her Kong. I thought it might have been that. She roots around in the backyard a lot. I thought she might have grabbed something I didn't know. And I gave her her flea and her heartworm medicine. And it was the first time we had upped the dose from the puppy dose to basically the full-size dog dose, because she's 40 pounds now. And so my husband and I looked at all these possible causes, and we thought the thing that was probably the most likely was that dose of medication. Yeah, so it was a great opportunity to kind of apply the reasoning and the brainstorming process that goes with trying to figure out the cause of something. So that was pretty cool. All right, and then the final thing, fish that smells like cucumbers. Another thing I've been thinking about when looking at causal reasoning is looking at an issue that's a really big deal in the valley, specifically with the delta, and that's the delta smelt. And I'm going to put a link to an article underneath this because one of the controversies with, how do we handle the possible future extinction of this particular type of fish is identifying what are the causes and what can we do about those causes. But then also, based on whatever solution we come up with, what are the impacts going to be to the environment, to farmers, to citizens. And it's a really fascinating way to take causal reasoning and look at a local issue and see how that is being used on multiple sides of the argument for people to try and prove their claims. All right, so again, love causal reasoning, and this week you're going to work through our textbook chapter. You've got another conversational partner assignment. You're going to have some stuff to discuss with your conversational partner, and I've got a variety of different videos that I think are really kind of fascinating takes into some of the aspects of causal reasoning that I think merit a little more exploration than we're able to get into in your textbook. All right, I hope you enjoy this module. Looking at the semester so far, this is absolutely one of my favorites, and I hope you find it as impactful as I do.